All right, this is Mr. Gillum, and today we're going to do a few study island problems here to warm up for your study island assignment. And those problems are going to involve solving word problems with decimals. Now, this could be any operation, addition or subtraction, multiplying or dividing, since we've done all those things now. So let's take a look at the first problem. And it's kind of a long problem. It's kind of a long read. There's a lot of things to learn about here. And it says that Tim is reviewing the results of a soil saturation study that was completed in April of this year. The amounts of soil saturation in different parts of the county are provided in the table below. Okay, so then it gives you the table, and in each part of the table here, we have, they didn't do a very good job of labeling this, but we have the parts of the county over here on the left, and we have the amount of soil saturation on the right. Okay, now here's where the important parts start. It says last year the average soil saturation in the entire county was 0.24. Okay, so I'm going to circle that number because it's going to be important. 0.24. And now it says complete the comparison statements about the soil saturation from each year. Given the information from the study, the average soil saturation of the county last year is 1.2 times the saturation reported for the blank part of the county this year. So here's what we're going to have to do. We are going to say, again, it says the average soil saturation for the county last year is 1.2 times the saturation reported for the blank part of the county this year. So we're thinking something times 1.2 should equal 0.24. Okay, and we need to figure out whether that's the northwest, 0.2, the northeast, 0.504, the central, the southwest, or the southeast. Okay, so which one of those saturation numbers multiplied by 1.2 would equal 0.24? So we can do this two ways. We can either start guessing checking, say 0.2 times 1.2 and figure that out, 0.504 times 1.2, figure that out, and then once I find one that is equal to 0.24, I would have my answer. Or I could divide 0.24 by 1.2. Either way. So let's do the first way, the guess and check way. But I'm going to be smart about my guess and check. I know that when I multiply something by 1, it stays the same. Like 3 times 1 is 3, 5 times 1 is 5, and so on. But this is a little more than 1. It's 1.2. So it shouldn't go like from 5 to 10. It should go from 5 to like 6. Something like that. It should just get a little bigger when I multiply it by 1.2. So what number is a little smaller than 0.24? That's going to get a little bigger when I multiply it by 1.2. Well, we're in luck, I think, this time, because I know if I take 0.2 times 1.2, it should get a little bigger. So it might be close to 0.24, so I might try that one. However, 0.5 is already bigger than 0.24, so I know that's probably not a good one to try. 0.288 is already bigger than 0.24, so that's probably not a good one to try. 0.6 is already bigger than 0.24, and 0.96 is already bigger than 0.24. So the one I should try is probably 0.2. So let's find out. Is 1.2 times 0.2 0.24? 1, 2, 0.24. Okay, so when it asks us which part of the county is 1.2 times the saturation reported from the last year, it would be northwest. Part of the county this year. Okay, I also could have solved this by saying, oh, 0.24 divided by 1.2, like this. I would move that decimal right there. So really we would have 12 divided by 2.4. And I really don't want any decimals, so let's do 120 and 24 like that. And so it goes in 0. We're going to put our 0 there, and 2 minus 240. It would be 0, no remainder, 0.2, right there, 0.2, which is the northwest. Okay. It says also the average soil saturation for the county last year is 0.25 of the saturation reported for the blank part of the county this year. Now, because Mr. Gillum has done a lot of fractions in his day, he knows that 0.25 is like a quarter or 1/4, like a 25 cents is to $1, so it'd be like 1/4. So what we're looking for is 1/4, a number over here in our column, that if I multiply it by 1/4, it will equal 0.24 again. So obviously I need a number that's bigger than 0.24 right now. So northwest is out this time. Northeast is a possibility. Central is a possibility, but probably not right. Southwest is a possibility, and southeast is a possibility. So what I could do is I could take 0.504 times 0.25, and then I could try that the same thing for this one, this one, this one, this one, but Mr. Gillum, since he's done a lot of these, and I don't want you to spend all night on this video, knows that, 0.24 is 1/4 or 0.25 of 0.96. So I'll show you. Instead of guessing checking all the way through, we can just do this. 0.96 times 0.25. 0, 3, 8, and then 0 for my placeholder because I'm moving over a spot. 2, 1, 19, and so we have 0, 0, 4, 2, with 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there, 0.24. So we know that the southeast times 0.25 would equal our 0.24 for last year's saturation. All right, let's take a look at another example. It says that in 2009, Simon took a cruise on a ship that had a length of 361.6 meters. I'm going to underline that because that's important. Simon's ship is 361.6 meters. On his trip, he learned that the cruise ship was the longest passenger ship at that time. But after his cruise, he learned that the world's longest ship overall was an oil tanker named Seawise Giant. It had a length of 458.46. Now, based on this information, Simon found that the oil tanker measured how many meters longer than the ship? So here's where the first question comes in. How much longer, or how much bigger is 458 than 361.6? So let's find out. 458.46, and we're going to subtract 361.6. I'll put a placeholder because remember when we do addition subtraction, we do need placeholders. 6 minus 0 is 6. Now 4, I cannot subtract 6 from 4. So I'm going to borrow from the ones digits and add to the tenths digits. 14 minus 6 is 8. 7 minus 1 is 6. Uh-oh, my marker's lagging. 4 becomes a 3. 15 minus 6 is 9. So it looks like 96.86 meters longer. All right, and that makes about sense because it looks like about 196.86 is a reasonable amount. It also says that he found that if the ships were placed end to end, the two ships would measure how many meters. So we want to know if we put both ships right next to each other. Simon's ship, right there, little sailboat, and then also the tanker ship, more like a barge, okay, with coal and stuff on top of it. How long would it be if his is 361 and the tanker was 458? Well, in that case, we would have to figure out how long it is from there to there. So we're going to add. So let's do 361.6 and 458.46. And I'm always very careful to line my decimal up when I'm adding and subtracting. So in this case, I do need a placeholder. So there's the same number of decimals on both of them. 0 plus 6 is 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. We're going to carry our 1. 8 plus 1 plus 1 is 10. We're going to carry our 1 again. 6 plus 5 plus 1 is 12. We're going to carry our 1. And 4 plus 3 plus 1 is 8. And again, in addition, we just carry the decimal. We keep it right where it was. So it looks like 820.06 meters. One more I want to look at here. And it says Mark is building a custom wooden frame around his flower bed. The length of the frame is 5.45 feet and the width of the frame is 3.275 feet. What's the area of the bed without rounding? How many square feet? So let's draw a picture here. It says a custom wooden frame around his flower bed. The length of the frame, okay, so we're supposed to really assume that it is a rectangular frame. The length is 5.45 and the width is 3.275. So we'll say 5.45 and 3.275. Okay, and we need to know what the area is, which is the amount in the middle. So this is kind of a review problem from last year. If you remember how to find the area of a rectangle, you know that it should be the length times the width equals the area. So in this case, we do have a length and we do have a width. We just need to multiply them together. So let's take 5.45 times 3.275. Now, when Mr. Gillum wrote that down, he wasn't paying close enough attention. Even though 5.45 is bigger than 3.275, it's much easier if we write the one with the more digits on the top. I'm going to need some room, so I'm going to write it over here. 3.275 times 5.45. And on these, because it's multiplication, we do not need to actually line up the decimal point. So here we go. Multiplication problem. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. And 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. Now we're going to add our first decimal placeholder because now we're moving over 1 to the 4. Now I'm going to use a different color to help illustrate. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 2 is 30. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. And 4 times 3 plus 1 is 13. Now, what I did on the last video is I added those together and then I put 2 decimal holders, but I did notice that a lot of you were doing it this way instead. So if you want to wait to add until the very end, that's fine too. So we can just put 2 decimal places, 2 holders, because now we're moving over another spot to the 5. So I added 1 when I moved to the 4, added 2 when I moved to the 5, because I'm 2 from where I started. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. And 5 times 3 plus 1 is 16. Now I can add them all together. 5, 7, 8, 14, 8, and 7 and 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 17.84875 is my area. So a little review problem. Remember, the area of a rectangle is length times width. So in this case, they gave you a length and width and want to know the area. We multiply them together, and that's that. So there's 3 of the more challenging study island problems for you. Some examples. That's it for today.